Hello and welcome everybody, it's Mrs. Bead here, showing you how to make a beautiful beaded wind chime. In your kit you've got a range of items to make your wind chime, including some very thin fish wire, some beautiful beads. You've got a little disc, a Girl Guiding theme disc for your wind chime. You've got some ultra tiny little crimp beads there. You've got your 3 wind chimes, they're all in the same colours, purple, pink and a blue, with some silver detailing. You've got a special Mrs. Bead pencil as a little gift, but also because you're going to use that as a tool as part of the kit, and you've got a piece of ribbon as well. We're going to start by threading some of our fish wire through one of your wind chimes. It's a bit fiddly. You're going to go through the hole and up the middle of the tube, and you're going to make sure that both threads come through the middle. So if you can see, it will wrap around the outside on one side and both threads come up through the middle. It just means that it dangles nicely, and then we can take our little tiny crimp bead like so. This is the really fiddly bit, and we're going to put it onto the longest piece of the fish wire, making sure it doesn't fall down into the wind chime, then over the shorter piece of fish wire like so. And then what we're going to do, it's called a crimp bead because we are going to crimp that bead. Normally you would do it with a pair of pliers, but you don't have a pair of pliers at hand. You now have a pencil that you can use to give it a really good squish, my favourite technical term. You're going to squish the crimp bead until it doesn't move, so it does require a bit of muscle there to push that crimp bead down. And when the crimp bead is squished together, it will mean that when you put the beads on, they won't actually touch the wind chime. If your beads touch the wind chime, they're not going to make that lovely chiming noise that we want them to at the end. So I'm going to fill it up with beads now. You can pause the video at any point in time if you just want to watch me do that again, rewind it and watch it. It does take a few times to perfect that. And then you can fill up your wire with beads like so. There's 3 colours of beads plus some nice silver ones. You don't have to put the same colours on each thread. You can mix them up. I'm sure you'll come up with some really good design ideas. And there we have it. That's my first one. I'm not going to make it too long. And then I'm going to thread it through one of the holes on the disc. This is a Girl Guiding theme disc for your special kit, but any frame with 3 holes in would work for this. We're going to thread another little crimp bead onto our wire at the top. Then we're going to put the wire through the disc and back through the crimp bead like so, pulling it quite tight but leaving a little bit of give. I like to put the thread then back down inside a few of the beads just for extra security, and then you can trim it afterwards. Put down through as many beads as you can. And then we're going to take our new fancy tool, our pencil, and squish that crimp bead so that it holds everything in place. Might take a few attempts and some real pushing to get that to crimp down. If you do have some flat nose pliers, you can use those. Again, it will be far easier if you do. Trim down any excess wire, and then you can move on to the next thread. So that's the first one, all done. I'll do the same for the pink. Again, squishing that crimp bead down with the pencil like so. Make sure it doesn't move around anywhere, and make sure you leave that little bit of a gap so the beads don't fall onto the wind chime. You might want to check that your beads come to about the same length on each one. I don't think a little bit of difference would matter too much, but you want the wind chimes to be a similar kind of height so that you get that nice ringing sound when they blow in the wind. And again, put your little crimp bead on, then hook your fish wire through the disc, back through the crimp bead. It is quite fiddly. They're so tiny, those crimp beads. I've put quite a few in your kit just in case you drop or lose any. Leave a little bit of a gap, and use your pencil to squish down that crimp bead. You can tell how much I'm pushing it down, and then tuck your wire back through some of the beads just for a little bit of extra stability. Really making sure that crimp bead is tight. And there, you can trim off any excess bits. I can already hear mine tinkling. And there we have it. I've added my last strand, and I've also tied on the ribbon. So they are really pretty. And I'm sure you'll come up with some great designs of your own. Hope you've enjoyed this kit.